Alright guys, so we got the Winter Storm Izzy update. This thing is turning out to be a little bit more wild, or just as wild as we kind of expected. We're on the verge now of it actually entering the continental United States. Started laying down snow in North Dakota. We're going to talk about some snow totals. Everybody wants to talk about snow totals. What you got to remember about this storm is that right now the early parts of the storm are pretty nailed down, but when it hits that south, just like it is right now, and turns back north, all these snow totals are kind of up in the air. They're ranging, and if you're checking your weather apps, if you're checking your local news station, you're seeing that where there's some wide variety in some of these areas where you can. Some people are saying 1 inches, some people are saying 14 inches. That's how it is where I'm at. So you just got to remember to take all these numbers that you're about to see with a grain of salt. And that what this video is really about is to kind of tell us about the general ideas of what the snow is going to be like. Is it going to be heavy snow? Where's the snow going to kind of fall? But everything's still subject to change. But we're going to take a look at that, starting with North Dakota and the northern part of the United States when this storm enters. Here in the next couple hours, this thing's going to start to enter here probably around 10 o'clock tonight, Thursday night, and head south through the plains. And so this is what that's going to look like. Generally speaking, you're going to get some pretty heavy snow through central North Dakota, clipping the northeast part of South Dakota, and into Iowa, part of Minnesota, and down into Missouri. We're talking over half a foot of snow. Most likely, things are, like I said, things are still updated to change, but right now this part of the storm, like I said, is pretty nailed down. So you're looking at more than half a foot of snow in this general swath right here. If you live in here, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you got your food and water, and plenty of backup heat, plenty of preparations for power outages, not being able to get out on the roads, things like that. I know a lot of these northerners you're all used to pretty heavy snow, so this may not be a big deal, but from where I'm standing, that's a pretty big deal. So looking down further into Missouri as this thing moves along, still on its downward half. So this kind of has two parts. It's kind of got this downward half, and then it hits the Gulf of Mexico, hits all this moist air, warm air, subtropical jet, and heads back north, which is where everybody's pretty much interested in right now because that's when things really kick up. As for Missouri, the northern part of Missouri, you're going to get hit with a couple inches. The northeastern part, you may have a little bit of what the northern part of the plains are getting with that half a foot of snow or more. The southern part of Missouri, you might get away with it. It looks like the storm's going to kind of stop with the snow a little bit as it hits this bottom part. You know, as the storm's kind of right in this general area, you're going to kind of have this lighten effect, and it's going to be the calm before the storm. Because as soon as this thing turns north, it's gonna do that. So it's gonna start laying down snow here in North Carolina, east of the Appalachian Mountains, east of the Smoky Mountains, and it's gonna start laying it down. We're gonna start talking about a foot of snow or more. Central Tennessee, you're still gonna get a lot of snow. Most of Tennessee is gonna get snow. In some parts you're talking about over half a foot, but most of the part, you're 6 inches or less. It is probably what you're gonna see. North Carolina, you're going to get it bad, you know, and the worst part of North Carolina, we're going to talk about that in a minute, is this freezing rain potential. You're going to probably have an ice storm of some kind. How severe it is, where it's going to be at, it's kind of hard to tell, but right now it's looking like a big swath. We'll talk about that more in a second. Virginia, look at that number right there. Look at that, 17.5. You're talking up to 18 inches of snow in central Virginia. These are general ideas right now, but I mean, really out of the question. Virginia, I mean, you're gonna get snow. Central Virginia, you're gonna get some heavy snow, guys. Please be prepared for this. If you're east of the Appalachian Mountains in Central Virginia, make sure you are prepared for some heavy snow coming in on Monday morning, late Saturday night or Sunday night. That's when this thing's gonna start heading north and laying down the snow. So we're talking this right here. What you're seeing is midday on Sunday, and it's gonna just lay it down overnight as it heads up into New England. So we're talking about up into New England now. We're gonna see the same kind of trend of laying down some heavy snow right here. Look at this. Along the lakes, you're gonna see a lot of snow, up to 20 inches in some parts. Around Lake Ontario there, a lot. If you live along the border in New York or Pennsylvania or Vermont or New Hampshire, then just be prepared for this thing to lay down a lot of snow for you guys. I keep saying that, but this is a serious storm, and if this thing does like what they think it's going to do right now, We're talking about a foot of snow or more. Along the coastline, you guys may get unscathed. This is the weird part of this storm, right? So all of this in New England, this big swath right here is going to get some heavy snow. But then right here, if you're noticing, look at this coastline. I mean, out here on you're getting nothing. You're getting nada. So if you live in DC, Baltimore, New York, Boston, you may not see anything but maybe an inch, maybe a dusting, something like that. What you are going to see, though, that is pretty serious and can be life-threatening is the wind gusts. So as this thing, let's go back to this GIF model. As this thing turns up the north, and you can see it has this motion. It kind of looks like a hurricane. It's going to be bringing a lot of these winds in from the waters and just hammering the coast. So we're talking about some serious winds here, guys, and those winds could bring in some serious storm surge, and you could have a lot of coastal flooding with this storm. So let's go back down into North Carolina and talk about that freezing rain potential I mentioned a while ago. This is what that's going to look like. Right now, things are subject to change. But we're going to see some freezing rain right here in eastern Kentucky at some point, but it's not going to be a lot. It's moved a lot from here. It's getting a lot less severe as time goes on, as these new model runs comes out. But the thing that's staying the same is this big heavy swath of freezing rain right here. In central North Carolina, you have the potential for a pretty bad ice storm. We're talking about potentially over an inch of freezing rain in some parts of North Carolina. So please, guys, make sure that you are prepared for the power to be out, for there to be no way to get to the store, anything like that. Make sure you're keeping an eye on all of your severe weather alerts. Speaking of severe weather alerts, right now, this big swath of pink right here, this is from the National Weather Service. That is a winter storm warning. All the purple areas beside it are your winter weather advisories. So this warning track right here is going to continue to move south along the path of this storm as time goes on. It may go away in this general area as, like we said earlier, that storm starts to go away. But this right here, this blue swath in North Carolina, just east of the Appalachian Mountains, is your winter storm watch. So most likely those areas are also going to be under winter storm warning as this thing bounces off the Gulf of Mexico and starts laying down snow in those areas you saw earlier. So please, guys, keep an eye out for your winter storm warnings. Make sure your phones are set up to receive those alerts. If not, make sure that you turn them on. Make sure that you go to your weather apps. Make sure you go and watch your local news, as they'll be continue to update you on your winter storm warnings. Make sure you read those, guys. They will tell you how much snow you're likely to get, and they'll update you as time goes on to make sure that you're prepared as possible. Keep an eye on our Instagram page, and our YouTube will be updating you with more information as time goes on. And of course, we're going to be providing live coverage of the storm as it enters the United States and trying to get as much coverage as possible as it goes through everything. And you can watch our live radar as and see when the snow is going to start for you, and see how severe things look. And we'll be on there as much as we can. I'll be working tomorrow, but through the weekend I should be pretty free to show you some of this live coverage and keep you all as updated as possible and keep you safe. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram for all the latest updates, and we'll see you soon.